What was a meal you loved as a kid but now that you're an adult you realize your parents only made because you were poor? Hardtack. Flour and water mixed and hardened to stale biscuit consistency in the oven. My mother would cut it into cookie shapes and give it to us as dessert or treat in our lunches and admonishes us if we ate more than 2 or 3 pieces. I realized later that was so on nights we had no food in the house but flour and could eat all the hardtack we wanted. We'd feel like we were having a special celebratory meal of cookies. Okay, you win. My parents were poor, but they weren't 18th century Royal Navy poor. Y'all ever had sleep for dinner? As a grown man with a baby, I really would like to have sleep for dinner. I remember being so stoked when we got to have pancakes for dinner, only to much later realize it was because flour was pretty much the only food we had in the house. Pot pies would go on sale for like $10 My mom would fill our freezer. This was college for me. Those things were like 3 for $1 or something. My father used to tell me he bought a Happy Meal from McDonald's when in fact he just kept the box and cooked the little chicken nuggets and french fries. I always asked about them being different sometimes but never found out. Now it's a family story about how far we've come. My mom used to have McDonald's night where she would make us pan-fried burgers and oven fries, and then wrap them in wax paper for us. We loved it. We would put on Beatles tapes and maybe even get a soda if we were lucky, so we could pretend we were at an old-fashioned diner. What I fondly refer to as the summer of potatoes. My dad was a teacher and was off for the summer, so he cooked dinner all summer. One year, he cooked potatoes every day, but in different ways. He was always on the lookout for a new potato recipe. It wasn't until I was an adult buying my own groceries that I realized how cheap potatoes were. We had to eat potatoes because they were affordable, and he didn't want dinner to be boring. This one is the realest because compared to a lot of the other things in this thread, potatoes will keep you going, and there are nearly limitless variations to potatoes. Your dad's a real one. Am I the only one compiling a grocery list off of this post? This is 100% why I clicked over here. I'm the youngest in a big family. Some of my siblings and I were arguing once about our mom's dragon soup. We all remembered it having different ingredients. Finally we went to her to settle who was right. She was confused for a minute and then said, "Oh, that? It was never the same." I called it that because at the end of the month I'd be dragging cans of vegetables out of the pantry and throwing it in a pot. We called this a Musco meal. Didn't realize what it was for years until my dad explained grandma would root through the fridge pantry and say this must go, that must go. Made me laugh my ass off and now I do the same thing. Fried bologna sandwich with mayo. I never really knew we were poor as a kid. We didn't get to do a lot of the things other kids did. We didn't go places other kids went, but we had a roof over our heads and a decent plot of land, so we were good with it. Our mealtime fare was pretty basic, but the all-time special meal, had it about once every other month, was clams casino. We had a bag of shells that we had collected, every now and then adding new ones as we found good ones at the beach, and mom would make up a prime batch of clams casino. So years after moving out, I have my own place, I am doing well, and I take this girl, man, she was beautiful, to this fancy restaurant down the shore. On the menu, I see clams casino. I am stoked. I hadn't had it in over a decade. I tell her all about it, order it, and then it arrives, steaming. 5 or 6 perfect shells with the blessed concoction awaiting my next move. I pick one up, bring it to my mouth, and slurp it up. Immediately then proceeding to spit the foul, rubbery, demon seed out onto the table. I was shocked and horrified. What the frick? My mother never actually used clams in clams casino. Just a little bit of clam juice to give it flavor. My most special favorite meal growing up was breading. I hope you had a great laugh and another date. I'm pretty sure this is common, but my mom used to buy the canned Minute Maid concentrate and then dilute it with way more water than necessary to make it last longer. It was pretty much orange flavored water. At that point, on a somewhat less serious note, when she was pee, and we asked her what was for dinner. Actually, not sure if she was pee or if this was an actual serious response. She would respond, in Chinese, the northwest winds. Essentially she told us to go to the yard and open our mouths and swallow the air to feel full. I didn't realize until a year or two ago that you're only supposed to dilute the concentrate like 3:1. I've been filling the pitcher all the way with tap water because that's how mom did it. Hawaii zone. Hawaii zone. Juice is way too sweet if you actually follow their directions. Bean surprise. Baked beans with stuff cooked into it. Hamburger, bacon, etc. Sometimes the surprise was that it was just beans. For a few months when I was little, we had surprise for dinner. Not because we were poor, but it wasn't why, but because my 4-year-old self tore all the labels off the cans when my mom wasn't looking. My mom said she learned 2 things. 1. Cans of fruit are generally larger than cans of vegetables, and 2. They bought way too many cans of beans, WTF. On the flip side, a meal my roommates and I used to make. I was freshly divorced and was working in a restaurant that ground beef daily for burgers and discarded the waste each night. But the grill cook liked fruit juice, so a few juices throughout the night from the bar turned into fresh ground beef for me. One time I called my roommate and told him to go buy cheese. I got the ground beef and about 5 pounds of mashed potatoes. Also would have been thrown out. And we made 3 days worth of shepherd's pie for $3.50. That beef was a daily thing. Meatloaf, burritos, you name it. Crap got us through some hard times, yo. Fruit juice, it's okay, you're off the clock. No need for euphemisms. Cheese sandwiches. It was just American cheese and bread. Sometimes mayo too. My mom would always say, "Grandma eats cheese sandwiches every day." She's probably eating one right now. For some reason, that made me want to eat them. That's really cute. Helper. We couldn't afford hamburger meat. I don't know why they call this stuff hamburger helper. It does just fine by itself. My mom put jelly on my birthday cupcakes one year. I asked for it again the next year and she had to explain that we could afford real frosting this year. It was good though. Crescent dogs. I thought that was the finest gourmet cooking. They're cheap hot dogs wrapped in Pillsbury dough and tossed in the oven for a while. That's fancy pigs in a blanket. Breakfast for dinner, aka a bowl of cereal. Also a bowl of mixed cereal, aka last bits of whatever cereal is left mixed together. Slop. It was rice, chicken, and cream of chicken all mixed together with maybe some salt and pepper, just cooked in a big pot. I make a version of this. The only difference is that I add a bag of frozen mixed veggies. I am a huge fan of cheap meals. Spanish rice was always an end of the month money is tight meal. It was a pile of rice with whatever was ready in the garden or left over in the fridge mixed into it. It was different every time. Sounds like my grandma's refrigerator soup. At the end of each week she'd take all the leftovers and throw them into a pot and make soup out of them. My mom said sometimes it was okay, other times it was awful, but it was never the same. This is actually my dad's story, but I feel like it belongs here. My dad is 75. I'm 37. Shut up. Setting: the Bronx. Mid-1950s. My grandfather and my dad had a lunchtime routine on the weekend. They'd walk down to the deli and get basically the dollar menu item of the time. A hard road hollowed out, slathered on the inside with a thick layer of butter, and stuffed with raw onions. It might sound disgusting, but my dad has made it for me before, and it's freaking disgusting. Homemade pizza turns out. Nobody else considers toasting bread, then microwaving it with cheese, and adding a couple pepperonis to be a pizza. Kind of reminds me of what's a common kid's snack in NZ. Bread or halves of hamburger buns topped with canned spaghetti, which has a sweet, simple tomato sauce, kind of like a cartoon version of pasta sauce, then cheddar cheese, all baked. My mother used to call it mini pizza, but it really wasn't. Sliced spam fried with eggs and cracker coating. This is going to sound like I'm one-upping you, but I'm not. It's just funny in hindsight. We were so poor we couldn't afford spam most of the time. We ate Treat, the Armour brand knockoff version. My mother made a lot of chicken when I was a kid. I loved it at first, but after eating it 6 days of the week, we had pork chops sometimes, usually on Sundays. For 15 years I really got sick of it. I was poking some fun at her one day not too long ago about how much she just loved chicken because I never saw her eat it anymore, and she admitted that she actually hates chicken, but it was cheaper than any other type of meat. We got goulash, a vat of it, and nobody anything different until it was gone. We weren't super poor but definitely were living paycheck to paycheck and neither of my parents had great jobs. I loved cheese sandwiches as a kid. Just American cheese and a bit of mayo on white bread. Didn't realize that it was a poor person meal until my slightly bitchy college roommate said that when she saw me making it one day. I don't care. I still like them and they really are a cheap, everyday lunch. In my childhood we ate a lot of deer, rabbit, and squirrel. Because we had to. My mom would dip the squirrel in flour and fry it in butter till browned, and then simmer it in gravy with marrow mushrooms and onions, or ramps. She would do the same with deer as well. We always had a huge garden. I can say from personal experience that there is nothing that tastes better than French fries made from potatoes that have been out of the ground for less than 20 minutes. A close second would be sweet corn pulled directly from the stalk and roasted, husk on, over hot coals of a wood fire. Another fave was when we would open up a jar of everything we canned from summer, add in homegrown cabbage, potatoes and turnips, onions from the root cellar and cut up deer steaks and barley to make killer vegetable soup. We did not really know we were poor, actually. Honestly, you probably ate better than most of modern Americans. Spaghetti noodles with butter and Parmesan cheese. I still crave it sometimes. My parents were not poor, but we ate this all the time. Now that I am poor, I'm really glad I developed a taste for it. Crapola shingle. Chipped beef homemade white gravy, and you eat it over toast. And now that I've been reminded of it, I really want some. Ramen for sure, but now I enjoy it more knowing that my parents did what they could and had to feed us. Cut up hot dogs and off-brand mac and cheese. It was like the exciting "we're eating a hot dog not how it's meant to be, with a bun and all" meal. But in reality it was BC we didn't have enough to warrant buying hot dog buns for one meal. Wait, I ate all these meals as a child. Were we secretly poor? They are also easy to prepare for a busy parent. Tuna melts. Basically just tuna and cheap cheese on bread baked in the oven. For a while someone kept donating frozen airline food trays to our food pantry. The first class stuff was crazy. I loved the duck and kraut and fancy chicken Kievs. Those cheap $3 pizzas. I still enjoy them. My mom made this concoction of mac and cheese, canned tuna, and peas at least twice a week. Considering the total cost of that meal is less than $3 and it fed 3 of us for 2 meals, it made sense. I tried making it for my wife once after explaining it to her and it was met with a resounding no. OMG, we ate that too. Tuna noodle casserole mom called it. Sloppy Joes. We made them high class by calling them disorderly Josephs. Zatarain's red beans and rice and black beans and rice boxed meals with a can or 2 of cubed spam that has been browned ahead of time. We had 8 mouths to feed, and for some reason Zatarain's was always on sale. My dad would just fill a huge stock pot with the stuff and it would feed us for 2 whole days. I miss it. Rice and beans was straight fine dining in our house. My little brother and I would request it multiple times a week. No salsa, no fancy extras, rice, beans. I imagine my parents were pretty relieved we thought it was so fantastic. Zatarain's jambalaya was the delicious replacement when our palates became more refined, haha. My mom's whole cooking repertoire is food for a poor family. She was one of 7 kids of a grocery store manager and a school teacher in Omaha in the 50s. So once she had kids, most of her meals were pasta heavy and her nutritional knowledge was basically ground beef, starch, steamed vegetable. You're set. My favorite is her, or I guess my grandma's, shepherd's pie. All she did was brown ground beef with salt and pepper, add some flour and water, put a little mashed potatoes and paprika on top, and heat it in the oven. When I found out that most people put vegetables in it, I was shocked. As a student, this is basically gonna be my cookbook. Not a meal and something I hated, but I didn't realize why or that I was poor until years later. I used to go to the school nurse for a stomachache almost every morning. She would feed me saltines with peanut butter. I choked those things down with a carton of milk. I'm lactose intolerant, and went about my day, feeling better, yet gassy. I never understood why Mrs. Dickinson gave me dry paste on crackers until I was about 25. It was then I realized I never got breakfast and she was just making sure I was comfortable until lunch. Each holiday season she would deliver bags of groceries to our house or send us home with them. We lived across the street from the elementary school. Still, I didn't understand why. I'll never forget that sweet woman, even if I can't stand saltines or creamy peanut butter to this day. I had something similar, except it was that at Thanksgiving and Christmas only certain kids were given vouchers for free turkeys. I always thought I was lucky because I always won one. It wasn't until I was older that I realized it was because my family was low income and it was the community's way of making sure low income families could afford to celebrate the holidays. Tuna noodle casserole. Still so good, though. Grilled bologna and cheese sandwiches dipped in tomato soup. The great Goulash. I said the word heck in front of my Christian parents. Comment and add feature me to be featured in the next video. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.